Hey, what up, guys? So, want to hit you guys with the last top 10 up for 2018, heading into 2019. It's going to feature what I believe to be the best division in boxing, which is the 147-pound welterweight division. So, with the welterweights, last year was hard for me to keep it at 10, and this year is the same deal. I bumped it up to 15 welterweights, even though it's kind of tight. And I want to break all that down. So we start with the guys that are out of my top 10. First up is WBA Super Champion Keith One Time Thurman. You might be tripping on that, saying why he previously was number one. Well, it's because he didn't fight, and pretty much he hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. He's coming back this month though, and by the end of the month I will re-rank him, but I can't rank him now. At the end of the year, I just can't do it. Inactivity for nearly 2 years, and all of 2018 took him out of it. So I'm keeping him out of the top 10 for now. But he will be back. Don't mark my words. He will be back. January 26th, he's taking on Josecito Lopez, defending his title. All right, the next guy out is Lucas Matisse, former world champion. He entered the year actually as the WBA. I believe he either entered the year or he won the title in January, the vacant title. And that set him up for a showdown in July against Manny Pacquiao. It was the career fight that he always wanted, and he made Pacquiao look like the old Pacquiao. He got dominated in this fight. He looked very old, and at 36, he's pretty much done now. He's been in a lot of wars, nothing to hang his head about, and he retired. So I'm glad to see that he's done, and and he's retiring. I didn't like him going out like that, but you know what? The guy's a true champion, great fighter, and gave us a lot of memories. So congrats to Lucas Matisse on that. Next up is Luis Collazo, former world champion. He's 37 years old now. He's a former WBA world champion. He previously came in ranked 11th. He was out of action the entire year. He's supposed to be coming back sometime this year. He was talked about as a possible opponent for Terrence Crawford, but a lot of the fan base really hated that matchup, so they denied. So Crawford ended up wanting to go another route, so he's going to be facing Amir Khan instead. It's what's supposed to happen. But anyway, Collazo should come back. We'll see what happens. He's a former world champ. We'll see how he does. Just a couple years ago, he gave hell to Keith Thurman, almost put him down on a body shot. So we'll see how he bounces back. Should be a good one. Now we break into the top 15. Those are the only guys that were out. So the top 15, we look at number 15 as former two-time world champion Andre Berto. Berto did not enter the year. He wasn't ranked. He's 35 years old right now, so he's getting up there. But Berto decided to come back in August and take on Devin Alexander. He hadn't fought since an April 2017 bout against Sean Porter, where he got TKO'd in the ninth round in kind of an ugly fight. He came back against Alexander. He fought his ass off down the stretch in that fight, but he can't. But I thought he should have lost the decision, but it went to the scorecards. He lost a split decision, and Berto, that kind of. I mean, he won a split decision. I'm sorry, he should have lost, in my opinion. But he fought hard, and he's very close to a world title shot. I don't know how, but he is. I don't expect him to be in the top 15 very long, but he's there now for the moment, and we'll see how he does going forward because the guy's only fighting once a year. He's probably got one more shot left in him, and then I'm assuming he'll be done, especially at the age of 35. But we'll see what happens. I think this is going to be his last year in boxing, though. All right, finishing the year, 14th is former 154-pound champion Saddam Ali. Ali entered the year as a WBO super welterweight champ at 154. He had beaten Miguel Cotto in December of 2017 and in a big upset, and he stayed up there. And in his first defense, he took on Jaime Munguia on short notice, and he got his ass whipped. He got knocked down 4 times against a much bigger guy, put down. It was kind of the signal that he's too small for the weight. And in December, he came back and took on Mauricio Herrera and scored a unanimous decision over 10 rounds. It wasn't anything special, but he got the win, and now he's ranked here. He's 30 years old. I still think Ali's a very good fighter, very talented, and he can punch a little bit. So we just got to wait and see what kind of fights he gets because he fights for Golden Boy. Golden Boy doesn't have a lot of clout in this division, I really want to see if Ali can get any good fights in 2019. I hope he does. Next at number 13, here's one prediction I'm going to make about Ali at 14. I would not be surprised if he got a shot at Terrence Crawford sometime during the year. Golden Boy working with Top Rank to give him a good opponent with a name. So don't be surprised by that. I'm just floating it right now. We'll see. I'm sure Crawford's going to be looking for something bigger, but because the PBC controls this division, that's what's going on in this division. It's going to be tough for Crawford to find a legitimate opponent, and maybe Golden Boy will work with Top Rank. We'll see. Finishing the year 13th is contender Jamal James. He's currently third in the WBA. He's 30 years old. He kind of had a quiet year after knocking out Diego Chavez in December of 2017, which was impressive. He got 2 wins over 2 nobodies. He didn't look that great. In April, he got a majority decision over an unknown guy, and then he knocked out another unknown guy. This guy's just waiting around for a shot. He's a PBC guy, so somebody should give him an opportunity and stay active. Tell you the truth, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets fed to Errol Spence later in the year, something like that, if Spence is waiting around for a bigger fight. We just got to wait and see. But hopefully he gets into some kind of eliminator since he's ranked pretty high in the WBA, and we'll see how he does going forward. Finishing the year number 12 is former 2-division champion Lamont Peterson. He previously came into the year number 9. He's 34 years old now, and I think he's making his last run, tell you the truth. In January of 18, he challenged Errol Spence. He fought hard, but he got dominated against a better fighter, a younger, better fighter. He gave it all he could, but he got stopped in the 7th round of that fight. He's going to be coming back this year on a Fox card, and March 24th, he's going to be taking on Sergey Lipinets, who's a former 140-pound champ. This is a crossroads fight right here. Lipinets lost to Mikey Garcia last year. He's a little younger. And Peterson, he's the older veteran trying to make one last run and get, possibly get one big payday or world title shot. He's got to beat Lipinets, though. It's a good start, March 24th on, I think it's on FS1. Okay, finishing the year number 11 is contender Thomas Delorme, actually former world title challenger Thomas Delorme. He came into the year unranked. He's 28 right now. He's still in his prime. He actually surprised everybody in 2018. His only fight, he went up against Jesse Vargas on DAZN in Vargas's DAZN debut, and he fought his ass off. It was a very close fight. He got knocked down early on. Very close fight, and then in the 12th round, he scored a flash knockdown on Jesse Vargas, and that actually earned him a draw. That's why he's here, because Jesse Vargas was a legit top 10 guy, and that got him into it. So I really like, I like that Delorme did that. He's always been a talented guy. It's just every time he steps up against, world-class competition, he gets beat, but didn't happen in this one. And we'll see. He should get an opportunity because of that. I'm assuming he will against somebody, so we'll see what happens. Finishing the year number 10 is Adrian Granados, contender. He wasn't ranked coming into the year. He's not ranked by any governing body at welterweight. Actually, no, he was ranked. He was ranked 12th coming into the year. He's 29. He seems like he's been around forever. The guy's a good veteran, at a young veteran at 29. This guy, he's one of those guys that just got bad luck all the time. He lost last year to Sean Porter. In 2017, he lost to Sean Porter in a good hard-fought battle. And then he came back in June of this year and took on Javier Fortuna. It was a good fight. They were going back and forth for 4 rounds, and then he inadvertently pushed Fortuna out of the ring, and Fortuna landed on the back of his head and got really hurt. And they stopped the fight and ended up being a no contest. He quietly came back and got 2 knockout wins in August and then September, finishing the year 2-0 with the no contest against Fortuna. He's got a real opportunity in his next fight. It might be the biggest fight of his career. April 20th, he's taking on Danny Garcia. This should be a good one. Garcia's coming off a tough loss to Sean Porter, so he's going to be hungry. Granados is hungry, and I think it's going to be a good back-and-forth battle. Granados has got a great chin. We're going to see if he can take Garcia's power, too. Should be a good one. April 20th on Fox. Next, finishing the year number 9 is former 4-division world champion Adrian Broner. He wasn't ranked coming into the year because he was ranked at 140. He's still only 29 years old, which is surprising. Broner's been around for a long time. He started very young, winning, and building himself up to what he is now. He fought only one time in 2018. He took on Jesse Vargas. It ended up being a really good fight. Jesse Vargas, I went back and watched the fight because I wasn't able to see it live, and Vargas gave him hell. He outworked Broner, but Broner landed the better shots, especially down the stretch, and I think that's what got it a draw. A lot of people still thought Vargas won. It was close enough to call a draw, and I really thought it was a good fight. Broner can still compete against top 10 level guys, but I don't know if he's at the top of the heap, and we're gonna see. He gets his opportunity of a lifetime, and what is the biggest fight of his career, bar none. January 19th on Showtime pay-per-view, he's challenging Manny Pacquiao for the WBA regular title. He gets a chance to shut everybody up and possibly punch a ticket against Mayweather later in the year. Possibly, I said. But still, a win over Pacquiao would be huge. And even a good, strong showing against Pacquiao would be big for him. So we're going to see. I think he's going to lose a unanimous decision. But, I wouldn't be surprised if he catches him. He knocked down Sean Porter. This guy's got power and that scary one punch kind of power once in a while if he connects hard enough. He doesn't throw enough punches, in my opinion, but we'll see. Pacquiao's older. He's 40 now. So we're going to see what happens. That's January 19th, Showtime pay-per-view. Finishing the year number 8 is Jesse Vargas. He came into the year, he moves up 2 spots. He came into the year number 10. He's 29 years old. He's very young still. He's currently ranked number 2 in 3 governing bodies. The WBC, the WBA, and the WBO all have him at number 2. He's highly rated, but in April, like I said, he fought Adrian Broner in that tough fight to a draw. A lot of people thought he won the fight. It was close. They were talking rematch for a few months there, and then Broner moved on to other things, and Vargas signed with DAZN and Matchroom, and he ended up taking on Thomas Dulorme in his debut, and he actually main evented a 4-fight card in the first American DAZN card where it was in United States soil. And it looked like he was, taking on Dulorme was going to be a, kind of a cruise. And I think he kind of was looking at the fight that way because it hurt him. He looked like he was overlooking Dulorme. He fought hard, but he allowed Dulorme to be in the fight and counterpunch pretty well. It was a close fight. He scored a knockdown early. It was a close fight going into the late rounds, and then Dulorme caught him and with a flash knockdown. That ended up swinging the judges to score the fight a draw. Not sure how he bounces back from that. 2 draws in 2018. I know he'll get a good, solid opponent because Vargas is fighting for DAZN. I know Eddie Hearn is going to do his best to get him a good opponent. The question is, who's it going to be? I think he'll get some kind of eliminator. I think a Dulorme rematch isn't a bad idea for him to stay busy while a lot of the top dogs face each other. And then see what happens from there. See who's available. See who wants to fight. So, and I think a good idea would be possibly to move over to ESPN and challenge Terrence Crawford later in the year if he gets a solid win earlier on in the year. Finishing the year number 7 is Jeff Horn. He moves up 1 spot from number 8. He's a former world champion. He entered the year as a WBO champion, coming off that horrible decision that he got in his home country of Australia when he beat Manny Pacquiao for the title. He's 30, so he's coming into his prime. But in June, he went on and defended his title against Terrence Crawford, and he got his ass thoroughly whipped, as I said he would. His size didn't matter. Crawford just beat him down, beat him up, and the fight was stopped in the 9th round. Crawford looked awesome. And, no surprise there. Horn is not on that kind of level. He moved up at the end of November, and he took on Anthony Mundine, who's an Australian and former world champion, in Mundine's last fight, and he knocked Mundine out in the first round. I think this fight was met at a catch weight of about 156, 157. After the fight, he said that he's willing to face anybody from 147, 154 to 160. Personally, I think he felt really comfortable at that weight. I think he's going to go after whatever the biggest fight is and then go after that division. I think 154 is kind of wide open. I think he's way out of his element for 147 and 160 in terms of the talent. I don't think he's going to stand a chance. 154, he might do a little better. We just got to wait and see. But he is a big guy. He was a big welterweight. That's part of the reason Pacquiao couldn't finish him because of how big he was. And, we're going to see what he does going forward and see what kind of year he has in 2019. The fact that he beat Pacquiao is going to carry some weight, and he'll probably get some decent opponents to want to face him. So that's number 7. Finishing the year number 6 is contender Yordenis Ugas. He wasn't ranked coming into the year. He's 32 years old. The WBC, I don't think, updated their rankings because they had him as high as number 6, but he's actually the mandatory in the WBC, and he's getting his crack after a solid but quiet year. He went 3-0 with 2 knockouts. He didn't really beat anybody big. He became, like I said, one of the mandatories, and now March 9th, he gets a golden opportunity. He's going against Sean Porter. Sean Porter's making this mandatory because Keith Thurman's not available in this fight. and he's looking at a possible Keith Thurman fight. Is Sean Porter a rematch? Maybe he overlooks or Ugas. Ugas is a good boxer. He comes in really in good shape. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled off an upset because he's such a quiet underdog. Porter needs to be ready. He needs to be focused. I still think Porter will. I think Ugas is going to lose the decision, but I wouldn't be surprised. And we'll see how good he does against top level competition because Porter is legitimate top three, and he's one of the best welterweights in the world. So we're going to see how he does. First world title shot, so it's going to be big. Finishing the year number 5 is the Pac-Man, WBA regular champion, Manny Pacquiao. He drops one spot from number 4. He is now 40 years old. In his one fight, he did not look like it, though. His one fight, 2018, he came back after over a year off after that horrible decision against Jeff Horn. He took on Lucas Matisse and thoroughly dominated Matisse. It was a one-sided event, picked him apart, beat the shit out of him, put him down 3 times, I believe, and stopped him in the 7th round. So big time win that elevated him. Then he surprisingly signed with PBC and Al Heyman. And I think it's because he wants to rematch with Floyd Mayweather if it's on the table. I think he's going to close his year out in 2019. 2 or 3 big fights. January 19th, he's got Adrian Broner, and that could possibly lead to a Mayweather fight or facing a couple of the top dogs in the division. We just got to wait and see. Mayweather just fought, in that bullshit fight out in Japan against that very small kickboxer. So maybe Mayweather might want to fight him. But Pacquiao wants to close his career out with a bang, and we'll see if he can do that. I'm really looking forward to seeing the fight on the 19th. So should be a good one. Finishing the year, number 4 is former 2-division world champion Danny Garcia. He came into the year number 6, so he moves up 2 spots. He's only 30 years old, surprisingly. Danny's been around a while now. I think 2012 was when we kind of got introduced to him, and that was 7 years ago. So he was 23, 24 when he came into the business, like really came in and became a name. And the guy is he's one of the best in the world. And in February, he took on Brandon Rios, coming back off of an 11-month layoff after his loss to Keith Thurman in 2017, his first loss. And it was a good, hard-fought battle. It was really good. He started to land his shots and his counter punches on Rios, and then in the 9th round landed a mean right hand, put Rios down hard. Rios couldn't recover, and that put him in line for a world title shot. And when Thurman vacated the WBC title because he couldn't defend it because of injury, he ended up facing the title became vacant, and then Danny signed on to face Sean Porter. A lot of people didn't think he was going to be able to compete against Porter because he had avoided a Porter fight until the title became available. But he proved a lot of people wrong in this one. He went at it. I thought the fight was going to be close. I thought Porter was going to win a very close decision, and it was a great fight. They went back and forth. Porter did pull out a very close unanimous decision, but Danny had nothing to hang his head about. He proved he's still a very game competitor, and I'm glad he's already announced his comeback. He's not going to take a year off. He's taking 7 months off, and he's coming back April 20th against Adrian Granados, who's a tough opponent. He's a good call for Danny and his style. I think it's going to be a good fight. Granados is going to push him. I think Danny wins a decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he hurts Granados, though, with the way Granados comes forward and the counter-punching and his left hook that Danny has. Danny needs a big win to get himself into a rematch with Porter or Thurman, or even a shot against Errol Spence. So welterweight's going to be very interesting with a guy like Danny there too, who could still make for a very good fight. Finishing the year number 3 is the WBC champion Sean Porter. He entered the year coming off of a year where he got 2 nice wins over. In 2017, he beat Andre Berto, stopped him, and then he got a decision over Adrian Granados. So he was waiting around for his mandatory title shot, and finally in September, the title shot came against Danny Garcia in that fight we just talked about. What a classic, great fight. Sean, that was really the win of his career, the biggest win of his career, and he's pretty much lined himself up for a showdown with Thurman, a rematch, in my opinion, because Thurman wants that belt back that Danny won. And now Danny, he's facing Yordenis Ugas. This is not a guy he needs to overlook. I mean, Sean Porter is. He's not a guy he wants to overlook. I think Porter's going to beat him, but it should be a good fight. Should be interesting. That's March 9th on Fox. Finishing the year number 2 is undefeated IBF champion Errol Spence Jr. He came into the year number 3, moves up 1 spot. He's only 28. God, this guy is good. He took on Lamont Peterson, dominated him in January, got a 7th round TKO. Peterson hit him with some flush shots, but he shook him off and kept coming forward and picked Peterson apart and stopped him. Then he came back in June and took on his mandatory Carlos Ocampo, and on a body shot in the 1st round, he stopped Ocampo. It was crazy. A nice body shot win. He ended up taking the rest of the year off because he was trying to set up a big fight, and he got that fight. He's going to be returning March 16th on Fox pay-per-view against Mikey Garcia. I think Spence is going to kick the shit out of Mikey. I think he's taking it to get a name and to stay busy for now, to get a big name fight that everybody's going to be watching. You're going to see how good he really is. I want to see who he's going to face after Mikey. I hope he's not overlooking Mikey, because Mikey is talented enough to possibly pull off a decision, but I don't think he is. I think he's hungry. I think he's going to destroy Mikey, and that's going to set up a big-time fight later in the year. I think it's going to depend on who Thurman decides to fight, or even Pacquiao, because Pacquiao's there. Everybody's got to remember that. And any of these guys is open. So we'll see. I think Errol Spence, though, 2nd half of the year, I think he's going to get Sean Porter, or he's going to get Danny Garcia, in my opinion. And we'll see how that all shakes out. It's going to be good, going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see the kind of year Errol Spence has. And then finishing the year number 1 is the undefeated WBO champion, 3-division world champion, Terrence Bud Crawford. He came into the year number 2. He moves up 1 spot. He's 31 years old, and he seems like he's just getting better. This guy is badass. He's been around years now. His opponents, he took on Jeff Horn, destroyed Jeff Horn to capture the WBO title with a 9th-round TKO. Then he took on Jose Benavidez. He got tested a little bit, and then what a mean punch he landed in the 12th, knocked out Benavidez. Great fight. It was a good one. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's doing next. He returns in March or April, and I think it's going to be April 13th or April 20th. He's going to be taking on Amir Khan. This is a good name to stay busy against, to dominate and look good against. He needs to do that, though. And then I hope he goes in against somebody good later in the year. I would love to see Jesse Vargas. I'd love to see one of the PBC guys step up and fight him. Or even if he wants to fight the winner of the World Boxing Super Series, which Regis Prograis has already talked about going after him. So we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be a good fight. Can't wait to see it. April 20th, April 13th. I really love Terrence Crawford. I think he's badass. He's just top rank, doesn't have any control in this division, and it's going to be tough finding him good opposition. But we'll see. We'll see if they can. So that's it, guys. Welterweight's going to explode this year. I cannot wait to see some of the matchups. I think there's a good chance Pacquiao Mayweather fights. I think there's a good chance we see Errol Spence against Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, and Keith Thurman in a rematch. And if that doesn't happen, then we're going to see Pacquiao face one of these guys, possibly Danny Garcia. You never know. There's a lot up in the air. There's very good fights set to happen, and I can't wait to see what happens at welterweight, the best division in boxing still. All the top guys have fights set up pretty much, and we're going to see how they do and if they can end up hooking up with